Hello, everybody, and thanks for watching News Channel 8. I'm Dave Lucas, and here's what's making news for you on this Monday, the 9th day of January. D.C. Council meets today for the first time since Councilman Harry Thomas Jr. resigned last week. Thomas quit his post just before pleading guilty to stealing more than $350,000 in city money meant for youth sports programs. Metro has resumed its inspections of the brakes on hundreds of its rail cars. Inspection started after a brake part fell off an Orange Line train Friday. It was the second incident of its kind in several weeks. Metro says the inspections should have no effect on riders. And make those reservations. It's Restaurant Week in the Washington area. Through Sunday, participating restaurants will be offering multi-course meals at discount prices. Lunches will set you back $20.12. Three-course dinners, $35.12. Steve Rude.
Not bad. 38 degrees outside at this hour, 34 at Dulles, the same in Gaithersburg. It's 37 in Fredericksburg, and hard to believe on Saturday they hit 70 degrees. Nothing like that in our forecast for today. The clouds have arrived. Now we're looking at a few scattered showers just off to the west of us, mixed in with a few flakes of snow. What can we expect for the rest of the day and for the upcoming work and school week? My full forecast coming up.
Non-stop local news for Maryland, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. This is News Channel 8.
And it's good to have you along on this Monday. In 24 hours, New Hampshire voters will be going to the polls in the nation's first presidential primary election. Now, if you believe the polls, Republican Mitt Romney has a commanding lead. But for his rivals, today is about trying to slow the former Massachusetts governor's momentum and to position themselves for the southern primaries in the upcoming weeks. Brianne Carter is live in the newsroom this morning with more on what to expect when the voters go to the polls. Good morning, Bree.
Good morning to you, Dave. Well, today is the last full day of campaigning. Many of those candidates started with a breakfast event this morning there in New Hampshire. This all before the Republican primary tomorrow. Today, most candidates are concentrating there on the southern part of the state. Each of the GOP hopefuls making the final pitch to voters ahead of this second contest in the presidential race. Now, according to the latest poll, as you said, the former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney holds a 24-point lead over his closest challenger, Ron Paul. Ron Paul once again seeing a surge there in support from younger voters. Now, sitting in the top seat, Romney's Republican rivals now are turning up the heat.
We want someone who's going to stand up and fight for the conservative principles, not bail out and not run to the left of Ted Kennedy.
All of the pundits love to say what the world is going to look like on Tuesday night. But you know what? We're going to arrive Tuesday night. We're going to find this a different reality.
And so there you heard it. Two candidates making a big push, though, in the state that holds the third contest. That would be South Carolina. Rick Santorum and Rick Perry, both hoping to do very well in South Carolina's more conservative base. Now, Perry even campaigning there today, not in New Hampshire. But the question really is all about second place in New Hampshire. We'll have to see how that all plays out come tomorrow. Dave, back to you.
Brianne Carter for us in the newsroom this morning. Bree, thanks so much for setting the stage. Also from the Granite State, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie was heckled during a Romney campaign stop yesterday, but to no one's real surprise, the brash governor fired back.
Really? You know, something may go down tonight, but it ain't going to be jobs, sweetheart.
Christie's been a frequent campaign surrogate for the Romney bid. During his speech, the Jersey governor accused President Obama of running a re-election campaign he said was based on cynicism and anger. A touching moment last night as folks gathered in Tucson to commemorate the shooting in which 6 people died and 12 others, including Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, were injured.
And liberty and justice for all.
The wounded Congresswoman led the Pledge of Allegiance during a candlelight vigil. She is still, of course, recovering from being shot in the head as she was meeting with constituents on that fateful morning. The memorial service meant something to everyone who attended, including those who were survivors of other traumatic events.
We are on the side of angels, and that working together, we can help save lives.
Thousands across the country came together to mark a year's passing since that day when a gunman opened fire in a grocery store parking lot. Shiloh Baptist Church in Northwest D.C. also hosted a day of reflection after that shooting 1 year ago. And looking at news around the region on this Monday morning, District Council meets today for the first time since one of their colleagues, Harry Thomas Jr., resigned in disgrace last week. Thomas left office just before pleading guilty to stealing more than $350,000 in city funds that had been earmarked for youth sports programs. In Anne Arundel County Circuit Court, jury selection resumes today in the trial of Lee Stevens. He's the Maryland prisoner charged with killing a state corrections officer. Stevens is accused of the first-degree murder of Officer David McGuinn, that is, inside the now-closed House of Correction in Jessup back in July 2006. The state is seeking the death penalty. Jury selection is expected to last this day and into tomorrow. The state expects to begin opening statements Tuesday afternoon or perhaps Wednesday morning. Laurel police are looking for two men after a deadly shooting Friday. This man, 36-year-old Gregory Sears, was shot outside his Ian's Alley home in the Russet Townhomes complex. Investigators think the incident began as a robbery. Just before losing consciousness, Sears told police two masked men shot him. His now widow is expecting the couple's first child. Montgomery County police officer will receive a tremendous honor today. Officer Edward Payton Jr. is set to receive the Congressional Badge of Bravery. It's being presented to him for his actions during the hostage situation at Discovery Headquarters building in 2010. Payton was off duty when gunman James Lee entered the Silver Spring building. Payton followed Lee inside and was able to relay priceless information to the other cops outside. Officer Payton was also able to help free the hostages Lee had taken. Congress also will honor 20 other police officers from across the nation today. The curtain fell for one last time last night on a local cinematic landmark. After almost a century, the Old Town Alexandria Movie Theater is no more. They held the final screening there last night. The theater opened its doors in 1914, more than a decade before talking movies were introduced to American audiences. Since then, it survived 2 world wars and a depression. But the theater, which began as a vaudeville stage, couldn't compete against multi-screen complexes and tough economic times.
When they got done with their acts downstairs, they'd go upstairs and dance all night and drink illegal liquor. Isn't that cool?
Because of the history in the theater and my love for theater, I really hate to see it go.
Some of the folks on hand for the final night screening had been going to the Old Town for decades. Others were there for the first time, knowing it was their last chance to be a bit of history. Looking at business news for you on this Monday morning, concern about Europe's debt crisis seemed to be moving the market. A live look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average shows that the big board, though, is essentially unchanged about 8 minutes into the trading day. The Dow starts the day at 12,363, and that is up about 3.5 points, about 3/100ths of a percentage point. It is in positive territory, but just so. Similar message for the NASDAQ and also for the S&P 500. The arrows are pointing up in early trading, but frankly, there isn't a whole lot moving the markets right now. We'll keep an eye on those numbers for you all morning long. 2012 is proving a more expensive new year. Gas prices jumped more than $0.10 a gallon since the ball dropped in Times Square, and the trend is for higher prices. Right now, the national average stands at $3.36 for a gallon of regular. John Gonzalez joins us live this morning in College Park with more on why people are feeling that familiar pinch at the pump. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Dave, and that's exactly what folks are telling us, that in the last couple of days they started wondering what is going on here. These prices are getting higher and higher, you know, and for months now experts have been telling us that come spring these numbers may reach levels we haven't seen in our lifetimes. Now, you can imagine what, filling up your car, or your SUV, we're talking, what, $40, $50, $60, $70. Well, imagine filling up a dump truck, per se. These businesses are also hurting. We spoke with one local business owner. She says she does a lot of driving here in the College Park area, and when gas prices reach really high numbers, she pushes the envelope. Well, this morning, maybe she pushed too far. She ran out of gas.
I fill up maybe once a week and maybe like $55 or $60. Whereas before, I think it may have been like 30 or 35. So it does make a difference.
So there you can see, there's one dump truck we've been talking about. Just he's been filling up for 10 minutes. I mean, imagine that. It's hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Now, why? Why the jump is what people are asking us this morning. Well, it depends who you ask, Dave. Some say it's the higher tax on ethanol. Others say oil pipeline delays in Iran. Whatever the case may be, these numbers are definitely higher than they were 3 weeks ago, about 10 cents higher, and not the way we wanted to start the new year at all.
Not indeed. You're absolutely right about that. And John, there's also that sort of seasonal reformulation where they start making gas that is slightly different in springtime. That generally means higher prices while they shut down the refineries to do that. I guess it all means it's just going to cost more to drive, and shortly.
Yeah, you know, folks are really kind of tired of this yo-yo effect. This is the first increase since mid-October. And, you know, we talked about the woman who ran out of gas. Studies show that when prices go up, more people run out of gas on the streets.
You know, you can certainly understand that. John Gonzalez for us. The pending pain at the pump. A lot of alliteration, John. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And while you may be feeling hosed at the gas pump, this turns out to be a terrific time to eat well for less around here. Today marks the beginning of D.C. Restaurant Week. From now through Sunday, more than 200 area restaurants will be offering multi-course meals at discount prices. Lunch will cost you $20.12. A three-course dinner at some of the region's very best tables, $35.12. It would cost a whale of a lot more at a lot of those places if it weren't Restaurant Week. We've got a lot more ahead for you on this Monday morning edition coming up after the break. More on that surprising rescue our Navy made of some Iraqis. Find out what our global force for good did in the open ocean. And a closer look at your work and school week forecast. Meteorologist Steve Rudin joins us. We'll get one more look at the roads out there. 18 minutes before 10 o'clock, and we're live in the nation's capital for you on this Monday morning, and we'll be right back.